friends and neighbors, it's Rikki. I am starting the last video of month 1 of our family emergency preparedness calendar year-long challenge that I'm taking my family through. And our last topic to cover is the grab and go binder. It's probably the biggest project in month 1, which is why it's the last video. It's taken a long time and I'm not done with it. I don't know that you're ever done with them. I think you probably have to build on them year after year, and you certainly have to update information so that you've got the latest for insurance purposes and medical information and so on and so forth. So our grab and go binder, I got one with a pocket inside so that I could keep some of the things that aren't just documents, and I got some clear sleeves so I could store some things. But I want to show you what I had prior to actually building the grab and go binder, and this is just called a My Pocket plan, and it's available through OEM, which is Oregon Emergency Management. It's also available through Josephine County Emergency Management, but it's just a tiny version of this binder. It's going to include some medical information, contact information, emergency contacts, including photos, which I think is a good idea. They do recommend you put photos, so I just printed paper copies and taped them inside of myself and any person that is in my home so that they could be identified without actually knowing their name, or even if they weren't able to speak, if they were unconscious or something like that, and there were first responders helping, they would have a visual reference for who the people are that they're supposed to be finding in or around my home. So I did put that information in there, and because I have filled this out, I'm just gonna move it to my Go Kit, which I keep in my vehicle. That's where a Go Kit should be, really, is in a vehicle. It's with you everywhere you go for the most part, so you would have supplies as well as that information on hand. So in addition to that, I followed along our family emergency preparedness handbook, which I have included the links in all the videos, but this handbook has inside of it a chapter about Go Kits. And not Go Kits, but emergency kits. So it starts with this grab and go binder. It's the best thing that you could do to help recover your life if you evacuated and you took your stuff with you and you returned home and you either didn't have a standing home any longer due to an earthquake or a fire, or it was not, it's not safe to enter. This binder is what helps you recover your life. It's all of the documents that are required by FEMA to offer any assistance, and you do have to have all those documents in order to have that assistance start. So you will need to have bank account information, you will need to have lender's information, you're going to need insurance information, and probably a lot more. I've never lost my home. I haven't had to go through the process personally. I've just witnessed the process and seen that it does take quite a bit to gather that information if you're trying to do it from scratch. So if you only know that you bank with Bank of America and you have your name and you've memorized your social security number, that's going to be your starting point. But much better to have all of your information pre-recorded and phone numbers to contact at Bank of America so that you're contacting the right person. It's going to just start you off in a much better place. So this is the most important thing that you could do as far as recovering life after a catastrophic event. With that, I followed the grab and go binder instructions. And again, with everything that we're talking about here in this book and just in these videos, these are beginning steps. There's so much more that you could do. I would suggest that you do it, that you look at what's here and think about the things that might pertain to you and your family that we don't have listed here, or just leave out the things that don't apply. There are several things here that don't apply to me or my family, so I didn't need to get those together in my grab and go binder, but I did the rest of it, including taking photographs and storing scans of my important documents on a thumb drive, and I keep that also in this grab and go binder. I did not print paper copies of all of those things. They are stored in the cloud and several other places because they're just backups to backups. But having this physical thumb drive, I think, is a really good idea. So one of the things that I discovered while putting together my grab and go binder is that your evacuation plan, based on the alert level that you might receive or the minutes that you have to evacuate your home, are going to change what you grab dramatically. So initially I wrote my evacuation plan, I wrote down the things that we wanted to take with us, and I put one copy in the binder. And then as I thought through it, I thought that doesn't actually work, because now I have one copy for 4 people, potentially 6 people, who could all be doing something. So then I broke it down by name, and made multiple copies, and I broke it down by the amount of time that we would have as well. So I took a 5-minute, a 15-minute, a 30-minute, and a 1 hour plus to evacuate. And I wrote down the things that we have to grab when we're leaving this house. And they build on one another. The thing to consider is that you probably want to grab a lot of your stuff if you've got a lot of time to, but that doesn't mean that it's going to fit in the vehicles that you have available to you. And as an event is increasing in size and scope, your time for evacuating is getting smaller and smaller. So you may load up one load of things that are perhaps the most important, thinking, I'm going to take this and we're going to drop it off at such and such a location across the town or at a friend's house or wherever. And by the time you get back, you don't have any more time to get the other things. So really think through what that would look like for you and what the best plan is for you and your family. I ended up making copies that follow along our alerting pattern in the county. So I did red because that is our go now color. And then the yellow was our like a be set. So there's a be ready, be set, go. So I broke them down like that. And our 30-minute plan is the kind of the be ready plan. So it's a lot longer. There's a lot more stuff to grab, but then I went for the 1 hour, and that's just, hey, we're aware of something. We aren't getting alerted. We just know that it's happening. And this is the stuff that we would probably really like to have that is either expensive, or we don't want to have to replace it, or it would help us in our emergency or survival situation. One of the things I learned through this process was the items that I deem important maybe aren't as important to somebody else in the house, or there may be other items that they feel are really important that I didn't think to put on this list. So taking your whole family through your evacuation plan and your list or your items is a great idea. My husband immediately added some things to this list that I hadn't thought of, and I can tell you that if I were making a list of things for my children to grab, it would not include any gaming whatsoever. But they probably have a few devices that they would like to grab to run out the door. This is probably not the time to crush their hopes and dreams about their video game playing aspirations. So if they want those things and we've got the other like survival stuff taken care of, then that's fine. But it's not going to be as high on the priority list as they might think. So talk to your family and make sure that everybody has a say in what is leaving the house. I also included a contact list. So I put every family member we have, the relationship to us. So I've got, brothers and sisters-in-law and grandparents and things like that. So I've got the relationship and I've got the contact information or phone numbers for them to be reached, in addition to our work phone numbers, at least a couple of them, or bosses, so that those people could be contacted directly, as well as emergency contact information like the sheriff's office, the police station, things like that. This is also a great place for me. This is where I choose to keep this stuff. I want all of my resources together so that if I took this with me and we ended up in a situation that required a lot of sort of survival kinds of skills, that we would have some of this information on hand, especially because communications are likely to be down in very large events, or at least slowed because so many people are using networks and things like that. So I printed out the water to bleach ratio from the EPA, so that I know how much bleach to put in water, and it's in our emergency go kit. So we'll have that stuff with us and we would be able to do that. I also have, which I didn't mention in the water video, but I have something called a GeoPress, and it is basically the same type of filter as like a Berkey filter is. So it's filtering out at a viral level, but it is a handheld single person unit, and it is it's by force that you run that water through the filter. So it's easy enough to do. It will take a minute for that to get through, but by the time you take your water from any source and you filter it through that GeoPress, it's called a Grail, you will have in the end drinking water, and that's a completely mobile unit. It's in my vehicle and ready to go. So that will be my first course of action. But if there were more of us and we were all together, then I would certainly want to know, how much bleach am I supposed to put in this? And the fact that I need to let it sit for 30 minutes to off gas before anybody can drink it. So just some of those details are important. The other thing that I did in my grab and go binder was I took the information about the skill building that I'm doing. So for example, I learned to pressurize our holding tank manually, and I wanted that written down with pictures so that if my kids needed to do it, they could remember, not just because they've been taught, but because there's an actual visual reference for it, as well as what we do with our Berkey water filter, how it needs to be cleaned, how you put in new filters, how you test it, and that type of thing. So that's also in this binder. And then my most recent skill is my learning to use my chainsaw. I just want to have it written down that I'm supposed to use mixed fuel in it. And every time I change the fuel, I need to add bar oil. And where that is, how it works, the thing about the choke and when to use the choke and when not to. I'm not a skilled professional in chainsaw use at this point. So I want this stuff written down so I can refer back to it, and it's in paper form, and it will help anybody in our family that might need to use that doesn't feel quite so confident in their decision making when they don't have a real clear head on their shoulders because of the event that they're experiencing. So there's so much more that you can do in a grab and go binder. It's all listed in the Family Emergency Preparedness Handbook under kits. So open that book up, see what they suggest, build it out so that it suits you. But the most important thing you do after you have this binder put together is do the drills. Do a 5-15 minute, I mean, it would be really rough to do an hour. And to be honest with you, I'm probably not going to do it because I would unload my whole house and that's a lot of work. Maybe that's a spring cleaning thing, but we will do a 5-minute evacuation drill and then maybe look at what space we have left in our vehicles and if we feel like we can reasonably add anything else, and look through our 15 and 30-minute plans to see if that stuff would fit just by estimation. So that is what we have going on right now. I'm still doing my skill building in a bunch of different ways. In fact, I get to go out right after this and cut some more wood. I really enjoy the chainsaw. It's comfortable and it makes me happy to know that I can use that and I don't need anybody's help to use it. For safety purposes, I will always let somebody know that I am using one and I'm outside, especially if my kids are home, somebody's listening, and if they hear it stop and me screaming, come running. but I'm also working on my garden plan. I've built that all out. We've got some indoor seeds started that needed to have like 10 weeks inside, and I'm working on garden beds, and we're clearing defensible space. We have defensible space, a lot of it actually around our home, but we are doing fuel reduction work right now because we're in the month of January. It's a good time to do it. So we're getting lots and lots of stuff done around our home, as well as building our skills and working on our plans and doing our drills. And I hope that you're joining me in the process. We are, with this video, done with month 1, which I'm really excited about, and we're gonna move on to month 2 just in the next few days. I'll do the first video and get it posted. So again, if you want to be a part of our videos, I would love to have you, and contact me. I'll put contact information below, and teach me things. Thank you guys.